So we're just going to be doing a basic ultrasound assessment of the upper limb, looking at relevant veins and arteries, and also talk through how to use the wireless ultrasound machine. So first of all, we can see the display here. This is the wireless ultrasound. And at the bottom you can see a flashing light indicating that it's sending out a wireless signal. And we've got the app connected up to that wireless signal now. So first of all, we'll put some ultrasound gel on the arm. And we'll put it down. And first of all, orientating the probe. We can actually see there's a little marker on the side of the probe there, which corresponds to the green dot at the top of the screen. So when we put it down, we know that the right side corresponds to the right side and the left side to the left side. Now, that shows the screen, and what we can do is we can make it slightly brighter by pressing the increased gain button. So it'll become very, very bright and everything goes brighter. Or we can decrease the gain and everything goes a lot darker. So we'll probably settle for about that. There's also a focus button, and if you press the focus button, it moves the focus of the screen either more deep or more superficial. So we're going to be pretty superficial for this. So I've set it so the actual arrow is there. Now at this point, we can see there's a pretty nice cephalic vein there. And if we compress it, it's easy to compress. And underneath it, we can see there's the forearm bone there. As we course up the arm, let's get a bit more ultrasound gel. See, it's actually joined by another vein there, and it's getting bigger. So that's the actual cephalic vein, and that would be quite suitable for an ultrasound guided cannula. What we should be able to do at this point is freeze the image by pressing the little grey button at the back, and we can press measure, and we can put length, measure, and we can drag this little green button there, and then this one to there, and it's telling us that the width of this cephalic vein is about 4.5 millimeters. So it's pretty reasonable in terms of size. At this point, we unfreeze the image, and we can carry on. Now, that's the most relevant vein for ultrasound-guided cannulation. Just have a quick look at the arteries. So, around this point, you should be able to see on the screen now in the center, there's a pulsating structure at the top. If I press down on it, it's difficult to compress. So that's the radial artery. And as you can see, there's some veins next to it that compress quite easily, but it doesn't. And then if we move a bit further across to this bit, you can see another structure there, which is pulsing away, and that's the ulnar artery. Okay. Now, I'm just going to move somewhere else now. So now we're approaching the antecubital fossa. You can see this is the cephalic vein as it's coming up the arm. As we're approaching the antecubital fossa, it's getting very, very big. You can see you can easily compress it. And it's actually splitting off into other veins as well. This is probably the median cubital vein, just at the top of the screen now. Now, also at this area, we want to be looking out for the brachial artery. This is the structure, obviously, we don't want to puncture. Now, that's the brachial artery in the middle of the screen. If I change the focus so it's a bit deeper. So that pulsating structure in the middle of the screen is the brachial artery. And there's another structure to the left of it, which is the brachial vein, which is potentially suitable for a midline or PICC line insertion. However, it's obviously very close to the artery, and the median nerve is around this area. So if you are going to cannulate that vein, you need to be fairly experienced and be very careful. If we compress it, we can see that the brachial vein easily compresses while the brachial artery is still pulsing away, and if we relax, again you can see the brachial vein there. Now at this point, we can actually put the probe into transverse section. And you can see that's the actual brachial artery in longitudinal section. And you can see it pulsing away, and if we compress it slightly, it's not very easy to fully compress. So that's just longitudinal section. I'm just going to move somewhere else now. So now we're on the upper, inner or medial aspect of the arm. And what we're mainly looking at now, mainly interested in, is the basilic vein. You can see that's the basilic vein there. This is it further down the arm. As we come up, it's obviously a little bit deeper, a bit bigger. It's being joined by other veins and it's getting very, very big. As you can see, if we trace it up the arm, if we compress it, you can see it's easy to compress. Keep going up. Easy to compress again. Easy to compress again. And if we try and get it in longitudinal section, that's the basilic vein in longitudinal section. It's easy to compress. And as you can see, this vein is actually big, straight, which makes it ideal for midline or PICC line placement. The main thing to be aware of, as previously mentioned, is the basilic vein is in the region of the brachial artery, which is pulsing there. So if you are going to cannulate the basilic vein, obviously you need to be confident that it's the basilic vein by compressing it, and you don't want to confuse it for the brachial artery there. Okay, and that's a basic pull-in arteriovenous ultrasound assessment. So we're just going to scan the neck to look at the internal jugular vein at the moment. So we've got the actual mastoid process just below the ear here, and then we've got the jugular notch with the two clavicles inserting over there, and the actual muscle called the sternocleidomastoid runs down here, and the sternocleidomastoid covers the carotid sheath, which contains the internal jugular vein, the vagus nerve, and the carotid artery. So if we place the actual ultrasound over here, you can see at the moment that at the top layer of the screen you've got some muscle, which will be the sternocleidomastoid, and then you've got a big structure which is actually pulsing at the moment, but that's the internal jugular vein. So at the moment we can see that if we compress it, that's the internal jugular vein which is compressing, and just beneath it you can see a structure that's pulsating, and that's the carotid artery. See it quite nicely there. If you actually follow it up the neck, the carotid artery is actually bifurcating at that point there. Anyway, back to here. So that's the internal jugular vein, which is quite easily to visualize there. And it'd be around this point that you could insert a central line into the internal jugular vein, or a Hickman line, or a portacath, or a renal dialysis line, and it would go in there. So this is just an overview of the sort of wireless ultrasound probes that are available. The one we've mainly been working with is this one, which is the higher frequency probe, which is mainly for superficial structures like veins. So that's the main one we've been focusing on. And we've got another one here, which is more intermediate frequency. And this is quite good for sort of musculoskeletal work. And then this one, which has got a more rounded probe. This is of a lower frequency, so it's better at visualizing things at increased depth. And this is quite good for looking into the chest and the abdomen, looking at livers, tapping pleural effusions, things like that.